next month's Paralympic Games. But Britain's team of 251 includes just 7 people with learning disabilities. That's because they're only allowed to compete in 9 events, as our sports correspondent Kamian Zerum reports.
Stephanie Moore and Reece Palmer have won medals, golds, sprinting for GB. They're 2 of the best in the world in the 1 and 200 metres. But they won't be competing at the Paralympics next week because their events aren't included. They have the wrong kind of disability, an intellectual or learning disability, and they want the chance to be recognised.
How do you feel when you run?
Love it. My favourite sport.
So when Johnny Peacock and co take to the track in Rio, Reece will be watching with mixed emotions.
Do you feel sad that your classification isn't included?
Yeah. Needs more help, our classification.
It wouldn't mean a lot just to me, but it would mean a lot to everybody else, because there's a lot of athletes out there with intellectual disabilities who've got a lot of talent in that event, and there's some young people coming up, sim events, and they're just not given that opportunity, and it would just mean a lot to all of us if we had that opportunity and show our potential and our talent.
The charity MENCAP launch a petition tonight as we're on air, asking the International Paralympic Committee to change the ratio of events. There are 528 medal events at the Rio Paralympics, but only 18 are open to athletes with a learning disability in athletics, table tennis and swimming. This equates to less than 4% of medal chances, and only 3% of the GB Paralympic team have a learning disability. There's a reason for the imbalance, the biggest scandal in Paralympic history. Some of the gold medal winning basketball team at Sydney in the learning disabled classification were later exposed as frauds. All learning disabled events were shelved until the London Games, where they were reintroduced but in a limited number. Like the 200 metres freestyle. Remember Jessica Jane Applegate, who won gold for GB. She'll compete again in Rio, which is now in full preparation mode. But the Paralympics' long-term development strategy is to increase events for the most disabled athletes, with the highest care needs, like the visually impaired. But with literally thousands of potential events across the classifications, something has to give. It is a challenging situation, the International Paralympic Committee told Channel 4 News. Not that it makes it any easier for those who miss out.
It's incredibly frustrating because with our disability, it's quite hidden. So a lot of people don't see the problem with it. I can see why they've put the events in, because you can't see our disabilities, but it's incredibly frustrating.
Not least because Stephanie and Reece have won their medals by funding themselves. And the situation at the top is mirrored at the grassroots. There are 11.9 million disabled people in the UK. 1.4 million have a learning disability. Sport England recently pledged 170 million to grassroots disability sport, 2 million to the Special Olympics and 400,000 to a Learning Disability Alliance. But that's a combined total of less than 1.5%. MENCAP say this simply isn't good enough. And it's not just about finding the next Reece or Stephanie, but about making sure from the stadium gates to the podium, there really is access for all.
Kamian Zerum reporting there. Now, a woman and a child have been killed after a suspected stolen car being chased by police veered into a group of pedestrians in Penge in southeast London. Witnesses described how the car crashed into a family, trapping children underneath. Several ambulance crews and the air ambulance rushed to the scene. 3 young girls were taken to hospital with multiple injuries. Police said the driver has been arrested and is now in custody.
After the break, a tale of marital infidelity from the most unusual perspective. Ian McEwan tells us about his 17th novel and why it's narrated